If you have ever tried to integrate a subwoofer with speakers, you already know the problem. There are hundreds of tutorials online, dozens of recommended crossover methods, and yet most systems still don't sound flat, don't align properly, and don't sound right. In this video, I'm going to show you a correct, repeatable, and optimal way to combine a subwoofer and a speaker. We will use Room EQ Wizard, and what I'll show you here is fundamentally different from the random methods you'll find all over the web. So let's start. REW Beta 112, and here is an actual speaker and subwoofer measurement with correct timing. When I say correct timing, it means the impulse responses are exactly as measured. So speaker starts and the subwoofer's peak is quite a bit delayed, around 60 milliseconds in my case. So it's important that you should measure speaker and subwoofer with acoustic timing reference or loopback timing reference. Impulse responses should be timed correctly. If you don't use acoustic reference, every single measurement will show up at time 0 and you will lose the relative timing information, which makes to align a subwoofer and a speaker to each other impossible. So now the first step is target curve, suitable for your speaker and sub. You select speaker. This blue tag here shows when you can double click any measurement in REW, the blue tag moves. All the operations you're doing are based on the one with the blue tag. So if I click info window right now, for example, this is showing subwoofer. Right now, info window is showing the speaker. Similarly, IR windows. That's its functionality. So let's start going to EQ windows with the speaker. Change smoothing to 1/48 octave band, so we see the proper response of the speaker in the highest detail possible. Now let me pick up my favorite curve, calculate target level from response, and REW already gave us a target level. By the way, if you use no smoothing, the target level will be slightly lower. Look, calculate target level for most cases, but I prefer 1/. In any other smoothing, it will be the same. Only no smoothing will make it a bit lower. Regardless, now what is the roll-off frequency, correct crossover frequency, where the bass starts rolling off with the speaker? First, you have to know that the speaker is designed to roll with 12 dB per octave butterworth on its own, and you add that another butterworth 12 dB per octave high-pass filter. I will explain why soon. And let's start from 80 Hertz. This is a pretty small speaker. It's one of my focal satellites. As you see with this 12 dB per octave butterworth high-pass filter, the speaker's roll-off moved from this one to this one. Okay? And the target type obviously has to have 24 dB per octave. So what you're doing here is to understand where this line correctly tracks this line. So it's something like 120, let's say. You can remove this one. What would it be if 120? So this should also be 120. And as you see, it's even higher than 120. This is a very small speaker. Let's try 150. And 150 here. Now this is too much. I think something like that. So this is the place where you're gonna spend the most time. This one. So something like, let's say, 140 Hertz. And calculate target level. The bass response will not change. The target level is calculated from high frequency response. but this is your speaker's correct crossover frequency. Only after, as you see, the Butterworth 12 dB per octave high-pass filter is applied. That should coincide with this 24 dB per octave LF cutoff here with full range speaker. Now you can generate measurement from target shape. We know the speaker's target level, it's 71.8 dB for this particular target curve. And just select none here and generate another one so we have the full target curve on screen. Now we close EQ windows, and as you see, we have a target with the roll-off and also a proper target. Like so. Now the second thing is to determine the subwoofer correct volume for this given target curve. For that, you need to determine subwoofer's target level first. Select REW subwoofer, and you should know, give or take, the roll-off frequencies of your subwoofer. You can find it in its text specs. This subwoofer, so this is the other way around. 200 Hz is its maximum and 40 Hz is its minimum according to spec. But every subwoofer has different roll-offs and roll-off slopes. So I think this one, mine is here. This is also some part you have to spend some time on. Now when I'm changing this, I'm looking at the slope of this with this one and trying to find a suitable area. And also on this side, it's important. For example, it's definitely not 24. It's definitely not 12. It's probably 24. And I think it's more like 18 too. And then calculate target level. Every time you calculate target level, and also don't forget to make this 148. And then now if you calculate target level, it's gonna go a little bit up, which you want. Yes. So normally, because you don't even know the 40 and 200 that easy, you should also do these calibrations. And ideally I should do that because this subwoofer's measurement shows that it's not really 40, it's even high, something like that probably. But when you calculate target level, it will move depending on these numbers. So it's a continuous calculate target level, readjust calculate target level until you see it perfectly represents your subwoofer's output, measured output. And this looks like quite okay, but let's stay with the spec. Maybe like this and calculate. So this is it. And now generate measurement from target shape and also select none and generate measurement from target shape. Now let's go back to our main screen, and as you see, the speakers, the subwoofer's target curve is higher than the speaker's target curve. How much higher? Let's check. This one is 4, this one is 6. So 4, double click and bring the blue tag and info. And here you can read it, data offset 71.81 dB. And number 6, the subwoofer info, data offset 73.21. So 73.21 minus 71 point, what was it? 81. 1.4 dB is the exact difference. So subwoofer volume is 1.4 dB higher than the speaker's volume for this target curve. So what you do is right click on subwoofer and here minus 1.4, add to data. Now speaker and subwoofer are volume aligned. Okay, this is the first step over the chosen target curve. This is how you volume align a subwoofer. It's important for all the good reasons, because otherwise you will be EQing, forcing distortion to the subwoofer. If it's not loud enough, or if its volume is higher than it should be, then you will be applying too much filter cutoffs, all of them harmful for the bass sound. So it's important to find out the correct roll of frequencies and roll of slopes of the subwoofer you're using to be able to volume align the subwoofer with a speaker. Second step is time aligning subwoofer with the speaker, and the most important step for the best bass sound. Now the speaker is applied a Butterworth 12 dB per octave at 140 Hz. This is our crossover frequency, we decided that. And generate measurement from predicted under filter tasks. This applies this filter to the speaker and generates the response on the screen here. As you see, from this, it went to this. So apply the 12 dB per octave, meaning octave per octave is half the frequency. So from 100, in the info you can see 140 Hertz shape, Butterworth slope 12 dB per octave. This means from 140 to half of it, which is 70 Hertz, it drops by 12 dB. This is what it means by 12 dB per octave. So you can check, this 140 is somewhere here. Let's say here. And from here to 70 Hertz, which is here, this says it drops like 12 dB. Well, it shows like minus 25 dB here. But it's because of the peaks and dips, so it's not like an exact science, but if you do a 1-1 smoothing here, you will see a more. Let's check 140. Let's say here is 140, and here's 70 here, so comes up here, and it's more like minus 13 dB. So it's a straight slope is minus 12 dB. And also from 140 to, no, this is for a high pass filter. For low pass filter, it goes the other way around. So you double the frequency and you will see the drop from here to 280 this time, a 12 dB drop. This becomes a low pass filter. This is a high pass filter. Only high frequencies pass, everything else is dimmed down. And in low pass filter, only low frequencies pass and high frequencies are cancelled. A band pass filter is both sides are cancelled and only the band stays alive. So this is our speakers after the. Why are we applying this weird slopes? And let me show you. Now for the subwoofer, before that, we go to EQ and this time apply it a low pass filter at 140 Hz, our crossover, and this time link with Riley filter type, not Butterworth, and this time 24 dB per octave, so a sharper one, and with a different slope, and generate measurement from predicted. Let's see. As you see, this was the original subwoofer response, and this is with the LR24 low pass filter applied to the subwoofer. Now, why do we do these, apply these weird slopes? Now, in the speaker EQ, instead of generate measurement from predicted, if you select generate measurement from filters, it will only create the filter itself, which is, you can't see it, but it's here. As you see, this is the actual filter, and here you will see perfect from 140, for example, to 70 Hertz, perfect 12 dB drop. Well, it's not my day, but yeah, 70 is here, sorry. Sorry. from 140 to at 70, it is perfect 12 dB, see? Because this is flat. From 0 here, so 12 dB at exactly 70 Hertz. That is what 140 Butterworth 12 dB per octave high-pass filter does. And for the subwoofer, again, instead of generate measurement from predicted, generate measurement from filters, I click it, and this is the subwoofer filter. Again, 24 dB per octave, 140, which means from at 280, double the 140 Hertz. Let's find 280. I'm looking at here when I'm using the cursors. 81, okay. And here it drops 24 dB already. That's what it means. Go to 0, as you see, 24 dB drop at double the frequency. And this is how it works on the subwoofer, this filter. So now why these two filters? Because the speakers are designed, most of them, okay, there are exceptions, with 12 dB per octave normal roll-off in the bass. And you added another 12 dB, so it becomes 24 dB. When you add these two, let's do vector sum. As you see, this is not flat. We have some loss here. But the speaker, as we said, has already a 12 dB per octave its own roll-off, which means we can simulate it by adding another high pass here at 140 Hz, another Butterworth 12 dB per octave, and now generate measurement from filters. So this is actually how the speaker filter will be, given the speaker's own natural roll-off. And when you sum these two, vector sum here, as you see, it's perfect flat. So this is why almost all audio-video receivers at the crossover apply a Butterworth 12 dB per octave high-pass filter to the speaker and a Linkwitz-Riley 24 dB per octave low-pass filter to the subwoofer. And if you're using a mini DSP and if you have the freedom to choose your crossover slopes and types, you should go with these ones, unless you have a very good reason not to, like a special driver that you're using, or a DIY speaker or subwoofer and whatnot. I will also show you, for example, they don't always sum up flat if you try other things. Let's say you use 24 here, generate filters, and with subwoofer, because these are now 36, imagine now you're using, instead of Linkwitz-Riley 24, you're using 36, generate filters. Let's see what happens when you sum these two up. This one and this one. Look, they also seem very similar, and you sum them. Look what happened. So this is the reason that these two slopes are used. This is how you time align. You first apply the correct slopes to speaker and the sub at the crossover frequency. So you're simulating what's going to happen in your system when you apply a crossover. So these three are useless. Remove selections. And we also showed all this and this. Yeah, these are also useless. We can make use of them later, but I don't want to confuse you. So you have the Butterworth applied speaker and Linkwitz-Riley applied subwoofer now. And this is where I don't like these colors. Let's set colors to default and go to alignment tool. These are not the original responses. Once again, speaker originally is like that and subwoofer originally is like that. These are roll-off slopes applied to them. And now we go right-click alignment tool. Here I select the speaker EQ. That is the speaker with the Butterworth 12 dB per octave high-pass filter. And here I select the subwoofer with the low-pass filter. And I go to 140 Hertz, which is our crossover frequency. It's not stopping at 140. Then what I do is make it larger, and now I can find perfect 140, I guess. It's still not so. Now it will have to. Yeah, 140. So wherever this cursor is, impulse alignment, not phase alignment, and align IRs, impulse responses, at cursor, which means align subwoofer and speaker at 140 Hertz to each other. I click this, and look, REW already did its magic, and it didn't invert polarity. It would invert polarity of the subwoofer if it needed to, and you have to listen to that if it says so. The polarities are match, and the delay required is 38 milliseconds. Okay, if your DSP system is capable of applying this much delay, you're good to go. If not, you have to enter a range here, minimum and a maximum, and REW will do its best to align the sub to the speaker within the given delay range. And what is really happening here is these dashed lines, I don't know if you can see, the dashed line here is the theoretical maximum that this speaker and the subwoofer can combine and produce the maximum output. Theoretical maximum is impossible. It means at every single frequency, subwoofer and speaker are in phase with each other, which is not possible in any room. But what REW did, for example, from all these alignments that's possible, look how you get a dip suddenly at around 120 Hertz with just a little change of subwoofer delay. And theoretical maximum always stays fixed. And as you see, when your cursor is 140 and you just click align IRs instead of playing with these sliders, REW already gives you the best possible delay that will give the closest to the theoretical max. And as you see, it's almost everywhere identical to theoretical max. So this is a good alignment. So you create here an aligned copy, which will create the subwoofer with the new time alignment. And if you want, you also create an aligned sum, which is speaker and subwoofer combined at this crossover frequency with the subwoofer's new time alignment. So also create an aligned sum. It's the same thing as vector summing. I will show you again here. These are the subwoofer and the speaker with their like vector sum this, and now vector sum the aligned subwoofer and speaker. Okay, it was this and it became from this to that just by subwoofer alignment. We completely removed this dip here and these dips here, and this is the target. But aligned sum already gives us that. Almost that. Now let's see what this 38 millisecond, minus 38 millisecond, you can read in the notes. Alignment actually does, so you can properly apply subwoofer delays in your system. This was the subwoofer with the low pass filter, and this was after it's aligned. As you see, frequency response is identical, where we can see the time alignment in impulse response. So we go to overlays, impulse, and in the bigger picture it's easier to see. This was where subwoofer was, the peak was here, and now after alignment it shifted here. So you will see that this is 38 milliseconds here, 38 milliseconds. So minus 38 milliseconds means doing something so that subwoofer fires 38 milliseconds earlier. So in time, now its peak comes earlier than original. How you do that? You apply a distance, like 13-meter distance, if you have a distance setting in your DSP, to your sub, so that the sub fires first and then your speaker fires 38 milliseconds after the sub. So it may sound confusing, but just know that almost always the subwoofer should have a larger distance than the speaker, so it fires up earlier than the speaker, because bus waves are long and slow. So subwoofers take their time Also, they have internal filters, a lot of them, which causes extra delay. So subwoofers should be fired first. And when you apply a higher distance to subwoofer in your, for example, AV receiver, you're actually not delaying it. You're delaying the speaker. Okay. If you enter 0 meter as distance, then you are delaying the subwoofer. If you enter 13 meters as your subwoofer distance, then you're delaying the speaker by 13 meters. We could have done, let me just create a response copy of this unaligned subwoofer, okay? We could do offset t equals 0, this is time alignment in ref, and here what you would enter was 38 milliseconds, not minus 38. Apply and close. As you see, you just brought it on top of the aligned copy. Minus 38 in the alignment tool is a 38 millisecond delay that you use with offset t equals 0 here. Positive delays move the subs or speakers to the left on this impulse window. Negative delays move them to the right. To the left means you want the subwoofer to fire up earlier, and to the right, because this is the time horizon, to the right means it can arrive later, but we want it to arrive earlier, so it goes to the left. Just don't get confused with all this sign of the delay values and how it's converted to distances. For many Denon and Marantz receivers out there, the older models, for example, this 38 milliseconds is not 13 meters because they use a different speed of sound, which you can, for example, in REW preferences, you can come here and decide that speed of sound is not 343, but it's 300. And now when you measure here this distance, it is still 38 milliseconds. Sorry. It's not easy to work on a small shrink screen just to follow up YouTube resolution. So it's still 38 milliseconds, but it's now 11.4 meters. So in this old model of amplifier, you would enter 11.4 meter distance to subwoofer to generate 38 milliseconds of delay to the speaker. For them to maximize their output with lowest group delay possible, this is the 140 Hertz crossover combination of this speaker and this sub. Let me just fix this back because I forget that, and then all my distance calculations show up wrong. And that's it. You now time aligned the subwoofer to the speaker. Next thing you do is the EQ filters. Now for the EQ filters, this is your aligned sub. This is your speaker. You didn't have to align it. It fires first, it fires last, no matter what. This is your target. Remember, target subwoofer is something else. Actually, we should delete that, or we should just drop these two. 1.4 was it? Minus 1.4 dB. So these are the new correct targets for speaker and subwoofer. This is how it looks like. Now, again, for the EQ subwoofer aligned, you generate a minimum phase version of that and replicate data outside range. And this is the target curve. On the target curve, you generate the subwoofer's crossover filter, which was at 140 Linkwitz-Riley and 12 dB to 24 dB per octave. Generate from predicted. Now you will shortly understand why we're doing this. So now from the target, I made the same slope as the subwoofer. And now on this target, with this correctly volume aligned and time aligned and minimum phase version generated subwoofer response, I can comfortably invert. This is the target, this is my subwoofer, and divide. Maximum gain 5 dB from 40 Hertz to 200 Hertz. Okay, something like that. All the way. Generate. And apply no smoothing. So this is the filter for your subwoofer. It's not minimum phase, so you have to generate minimum phase version of that with replicate data outside range. And now this is your subwoofer filter. And to test your filter, this was the subwoofer response with the crossover applied, but not minimum phase version yet. So here, and this is the filter that you're gonna apply to it, which is multiplication. And this is your subwoofer response. Similarly, you already have this for the speaker. So generate speakers minimum phase copy. And not this one, but we already created this from the target curve. So you divide number 3 with number 19. Now this time you don't really have to start it at 40 Hertz, but somewhere here maybe 94 and up to 200, I think. So don't go too much over Schroeder's frequency. It's not gonna sound good. And in fact, you can even apply variable smoothing here, so it doesn't do very sharp cuts in higher frequencies. And apply no smoothing now for the filter to see the correct shape of the filter, as you see. Oh, sorry. This is still applying the filter to unsmoothed speaker. So the filter is too choppy. What you do is EQ speaker, first variable smoothing, and then generate minimum phase with replicate data outside range. So you freeze the smoothing of the speaker, and then with this frozen speaker minimum phase response, this is gonna stay variable smoothed. You can do that. And now when you use no smoothing, apply, as you see, filter is still the same. This was not the correct filter. This is the correct filter. Now you have to generate minimum phase copy of this filter when it's unsmoothed. And this is frozen smoothed actual filter that you will apply to your speaker. Now let's apply it to the actual speaker response, which was EQ speaker here. And this is the final filter that will apply multiplication. And this is the speaker's final response. This was the subwoofer. And when you add them with vector sum, this is your equalized final speaker and subwoofer properly combined. You will usually find yourself having to align a subwoofer to left and right speaker pair. And when this is the case, all you have to do with alignment tool, because you can only align 2 responses to each other in the alignment tool, take the vector average of the left and right speakers and align the subwoofer to this vector average. You should still apply the high pass filter to this vector average speaker response, and you should time align the speakers before you take vector average, but the rest is exactly the same. So that's it for this tutorial. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, and like. See you soon.